Hello and welcome to another exciting new episode of Talking About Stoicism. I look puzzled because I'm pretty sure I clicked the record button and nothing happened. Anyway, I thought today we would skip Seneca for 1 week and we would have a conversation about something that just happened to me that I think is a good example of how you can practice Stoicism. So, got in the car, tried to start it, nothing happened. So I thought, okay, well, car battery dead, hopefully. It's just the battery. Wasn't, not really a simplest solution, get a new battery. The battery was getting older, I just wanted a new battery in it. So I put in a new battery, and as I put it in, connected it, hazard lights came on, and I thought that's weird. But I mean, I don't know much about cars. I mean, I thought maybe when you replace the battery, the hazard lights come on, like to show you that you've hooked it up correctly. I don't know any of these things. I'm just a psychologist, right? Anyway, so right at that moment, a neighbor says, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that your hazards were on all night, and I tried to warn you, but must have slept through that." Anyway, I said, "Well, thank you. Thanks for trying to let me know." I thought, that's weird. How would I not have noticed that the hazard lights were on? Anyway, that would explain the dead battery. So anyway, got in the car, had to run some errands. At some point while driving, I looked down, and in the center is, cup holder, and there are two plastic inserts you can take out to clean. And one of those inserts is out. It's just gone. And I only take those out when I clean that part of the car. So I thought, that's weird. It's not something you can knock out. You have to really lift it out. So I thought, that's really weird. But I mean, I'm driving, so I'm not gonna look around and see what happened. Got back, and I thought, that's really weird. I should look for that thing. So I'm looking around. I open the center console, and in there is that plastic part. And at that moment, I think someone's been in this car. They took that out. So I look in that console, and I think, what did I have in that console? And I thought I had a little pouch with just some things I'm weird, so like a compass and a little flashlight, and I think there was just a pocket knife or something. Nothing particularly expensive or valuable. And they were gone. And I thought, glove compartment, had another pouch in there, gone. So I thought, okay, so I think this is what happened. I forgot to lock the car last night, which I indeed did not have a recollection of locking the car. Fun fact, how come you always think, did I lock the car? That's because it's an automated response. You do that so often that your brain does not actually store that action. That's why you never know if you turned off the stove, or you've done it so many times, your brain is not sort of actively paying attention. Anyway, having said that, I thought I probably didn't lock the car. And someone came by, checked the door, it was open. They very quickly grabbed some stuff, probably reached over, accidentally turned on the hazards. I think that's how this whole thing happened, and that's pretty much it. So it's a feeling of shock. Someone has been in my property, my car. They took some stuff. Nothing else was missing. It was really not much. I think if maybe, I don't know, $50 of stuff was gone. Nothing valuable, nothing irreplaceable, nothing with emotional attachments or whatever. So I hope you forgive me this somewhat long story. I just want to set the stage a bit. And it reminded me of Epictetus, who in the Discourses, I'm pretty sure it's the first book of the Discourses, relates an anecdote where he hears something, runs outside, and sees that someone has stolen his iron lamp, and he wants to run after the thief, but he ends up not doing it. And then he thinks to himself, what I should do tomorrow is go out and purchase an earthenware lamp, because they're cheaper, they're easier to replace, and that's it. And he says something that's, I think, very interesting from a philosophical perspective. He says, you can only lose what you have. And that's true. So when you think about that, he had a fancy lamp. The fancy lamp got stolen, and then he replaces it with something cheaper. Now, I'm not saying you cannot have nice things. I'm certainly not saying you should just let all your stuff get stolen. Stealing is a vice. Any Stoic would say stealing is wrong. It's not a virtuous act to steal something that belongs to someone else, right? I'm not talking about, oh, but you're hungry and you steal a bread. It's not that sort of stuff. This was not a bread. These were items stolen from my car that I have purchased, that I put in there, right? And that were not necessary for survival for anyone. So it's an interesting thought to then consider that from the perspective of, but if that stuff would not have been in there, it wouldn't have been stolen. I did file a police report, had a very pleasant phone call with a constable. This is Canada, right? So it's like, ooh, was any maple syrup missing? Ooh, were there any hockey sticks gone? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Come on. It was very pleasant. And he said, yeah, so this time of the year, yeah, it starts to happen. We see a big spike in car break-ins in summer. So it's just the way it is. And I wouldn't have any expectations that we find your stuff back. And I said, no, it's fine. It's almost worth nothing, right? It's not a big deal. He said, no, he said, personally, I take everything out of my car. In summer, my car is empty. And he said, it's sad that that's what's necessary, but I'm a police officer, right? Like, that's just how it is. And again, I thought of, you can only lose what you have. Imagine you find yourself in a situation, I'm exaggerating a bit on purpose, where you have $50,000 worth of jewelry. But you hardly ever wear that jewelry, you just have that jewelry because you have it, right? You have it to have it. And then one day a house gets broken into and now $50,000 worth of jewelry is gone. Imagine you would only have $1,000 worth of jewelry, or $500 or $100, whatever, right? That would be a different situation. So if you have only what you need and not stuff that you hoard, and this is difficult for people because many of us, I think genetically we have that need to have a lot of things. But if you can learn to let go of that more, and you cut things down to the bare necessities, things get very different. You can only lose what you have. If you don't have it, then you can't lose it. Had my car been fully empty, well, then nothing may have been stolen, right? And again, this is not to justify stealing behaviors. Stealing is wrong, period. It's just wrong. But it's about thinking of what you actually are attached to. What do you need? What would you like? Right? And how can you sort of navigate that balance? And I think it's a very interesting experience. It was an interesting experience to me. I've had other stuff. So I had a bike stolen once in the Netherlands, which pretty much every Dutch person has had a bike stolen at some point or another. Ask any Dutch person. And that was a shock to me at the time. And this too, it felt weird, right? It always feels a bit like a violation, like someone took something that is yours. They were in my car. But I think it's very useful to look at that from another perspective. I lost nothing that I have a strong emotional bond to, that was irreplaceable. It wasn't anything like that, because if that would be the case, things might be a little different. Nothing of great value was lost. That also makes things easier. So this is a relatively easy example of this. But still, you can only lose what you have. If you don't have it, you can't lose it. So that selectivity, I think, is very important in everyday choices, everyday decisions. And it will facilitate having a stoic response to things like these. If they happen, when they happen, it makes things easier to look at. And there even are some stoic passages along the lines of, well, maybe the person who stole this needs it more than I do. And that's always it's a little difficult, right? Because, you should not be stealing. You should not be stealing. But I know that this city has some homeless people, and now they have some of the items. They have, a little flashlight. Okay, maybe it's useful to them. I can go to the store and buy 20 flashlights if I want. But to them, that might be more useful. Another way to look at things. And again, none of this is to rationalize being stolen from, because that is still hard and it still sucks, and people should not steal what is yours. But it's about changing your thought so that you don't get upset over what has happened. I particularly hope that the thief is very happy with the 2 half burnt out headlight bulbs. That will be very useful. Anyway, That's it for this week. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the thought of you can only lose what you have. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later.